Hey y'all, you know what time it is. Woo! I thought I had it, y'all. I thought I had it right, but it was upside down. Hi, it's Storytime with Chris. With my good friend Archimedes. And then we got Roland in the back. I'll bring him a little closer, because I don't think y'all met him yet. Yeah, he's cool. Roland. Call him Rolo for short. Roland, his name comes from one of my favorite fairy tales, My Sweetheart Roland. It's a really awesome story that needs to get adapted into a Disney film. Actually, no, I don't want Disney to touch that. An anime film would be better, because they wouldn't water down the details of the story. Anyway, so... Hi, we are back with Storytime with Chris. Of course, you do not have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them on the YouTube channel at your leisurely time. Like, share, subscribe with your friends. I do not own the music that is being played in the background, which is brought to you by the Soul of Wind, which is ironic because I'm an air sign. I am a Libra rising, Libra sun, Cancer moon. So yes, I'm very much an air sign with a good amount of water and earth in my chart as well. But besides that, I wanted to make an announcement. So, as of Thursday of last week, you are looking at the new night manager of Ellie's Restaurant and Bakery. I will be managing Friday and Saturday evenings and potentially Thursday mornings. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, because nothing of what I do, and I repeat myself, nothing of what I do at my job is not possible with the great people that I work with. The people that are patient with me, who listen. We work together. The clock cannot work if all of the cogs of the wheels are not working in tandem with each other. So I want to give a huge shout out to my management team. Thank you so much to my best friend Phil, and my friend Matthew, and Julio, and Jen, and Becky, and Alex for believing in me and allowing me this great opportunity. You more than likely will see a long post later on tonight. Just wanted to announce that God is good. However you wish to believe in your own home, that's fine. But as for me and my house, God and the universe is good to me. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity, because guess what? Opportunity is not a lengthy visitor, and you should never take it for granted, because it could be gone just like that, okay? So continue to count your blessings, y'all. Be good to each other. But enough of that. Got my tea here. I'm going to go work out after this. Yes. Bow. Trying to get strong. But this is what I wanted. I wanted to be slimmed and toned and strong. Trying to get my... trying to give a good example of what I would look like at the end of my fitness journey, so to speak. Rey Skywalker. There you go. Star Wars. Rey Skywalker. Or Luke Skywalker. Actually, Childish Gambino is Lando Calrissian. There we go. That physique. There we go. We might have to read a Star Wars book all year. That would be awesome. Alrighty. And we're back with another delivery made by Kiki. We shall see how this story unfolds. Kiki delivers the new year. It was New Year's Eve in Koriko. In another 4 hours, the current year would be over. Every house seemed ready. All the windows were shiny clean, and an orange-colored glow spilled out into the street from people's homes. Goodness, no wonder I was squinty. I didn't put my glasses on. Sorry. Kiki's heart ached. Back home, New Year's Eve was always a time for her family to enjoy together. But this year it was just her and Gigi, and she couldn't return home to celebrate her coming of age until a full year had passed. In Kiki's hometown, it was a New Year's Eve tradition to eat big meatballs simmered with tomatoes. So Kiki pulled herself together and got to work. She made meatballs as big as apples and simmered them with boiled tomatoes she had saved from the summer, remembering how her mother used to do it. At home, everyone would eat and share their memories of the past year. When the clock struck midnight, they would hug the person next to them and say, "It was a good year for both of us, wasn't it?" which is a very cute tradition. I may have to do that. Hey, Gigi, Kiki said, shaking salt and pepper over the pot. This year it's just 2, but let's eat meatballs. And when the clock strikes midnight, let's do the usual New Year's greeting, okay? Sure, that sounds fun. Even if the year ends like this, we'll be alright. Depending on your perspective, it was a pretty good one. Gigi reached out his front paws and stretched. It's New Year's Eve, but something seems off, Kiki thought. She cocked her head as she tasted the sauce. The streets were noisier than usual. People seemed to be gathering outside. But now's the time to be around the table at home, not out about in town. Hello! Osono opened the door to the shop and came in carrying her daughter. The baby was much bigger now and was able to kick her legs. Listen, can you hear it? Osono said in a sing-song voice. Kiki looked at Osono blankly for a moment. Perplexed, she asked, Listen to what? This time it was Osono who stared blankly at Kiki. Oh, that's right! She shook her head, realizing her mistake. You don't know how this town celebrates New Year's, do you? I should have told you. Look, see that clock? She pointed out at the window at the hazy clock tower in the distance. I don't know who built it, but that tall clock over by the town hall, if you look at it wanting to know the time, it's usually hidden behind the clouds. And even if it isn't, it hurts to crane your neck, so no one really looks at it much. But it does serve an important purpose once a year, on New Year's Eve. That clock only rings on New Year's Eve and only at midnight, which is similar to Britain's Big Ben clock tower. Big Ben only rings whether it's an occasion with the royal family, or it's New Year's, or something of great magnitude that involves the country itself. It does not. There are clock towers in different towns in the U.S. and stuff that go off at every top of the hour, but Big Ben is only rung on special occasions, which actually at the end I'll play a Big Ben clock striking so you can get an impression of what that's like. I've played it on here during Peter Pan, if I'm not mistaken. It chimes 12 times, bong, bong, and then the entire town runs. We start by the clock and do a big loop around town. In other words, we kick off the new year with a running start. We have this important ritual every year since the clock tower was built. At some point, since we're all trying to make sure we don't miss the bells, our New Year's greeting ended up being, Listen, can you hear it? So that's why the streets are so busy, Kiki said, finally understanding. Yes, naturally. The early birds left their houses a long time ago. We're already out mingling and waiting together. In that case, is it okay for me to run too? Kiki asked, leaning in. Of course, but no flying. I would never cheat like that. My plan is to run alongside my husband with the baby on my back. You can come with us. As soon as Osono left, Kiki lifted her skirt, began stretching her legs and stamping her feet. Even Gigi shook his legs out one at a time, warming up. 2 hours later, the young mayor of Koriko, finished with all his work for the year, sat at his desk stretching. After being elected at the beginning of the year, everything had gone well, and despite being so young, the townspeople held him in high esteem for his performance. On this night, the last of the year, he felt more enthusiastic than ever. He was determined to lead the way in the New Year's race and prove himself as even more reliable to the townspeople. 1, 2, 1, 2. He lifted his hands above his head. 3, 4, 3, 4. He stamped his feet. Then he opened his window, looked down at the town, and shouted the New Year's greeting at the top of his lungs. Listen! Can you hear it? In that moment, he was so shocked he nearly slipped through the window. His office was on the very top of the town hall, so with the window open, he could usually hear the faint... Oh, excuse me. There was a fly. If you fly, don't bother me, silly thing. Even if it was cloudy or rainy, but instead of the usual orderly it seemed to almost be yawning. The mayor leaned out the window and looked up at the clock in a panic. And then the clock offered a final and stopped. It was 10:36. There was only an hour and 24 minutes until the clock's once-a-year job at midnight. The mayor leapt for the phone and called the clockmaker who had cared for the tower for generations. The clock tower stopped. Please come quickly. And whatever you do, don't let the townspeople find out. As soon as the mayor hung up the phone, he headed across the street and raced up the inside of the tower. The clock had never failed since it was built. It assured that the New Year's race started on time every year, and it was something the townspeople could be proud of. Of all the times the clock could break down, the mayor thought, it had to be during the year I was elected. What if this ends up in the history books? What a disgrace! The young mayor couldn't bear it. Before long, the clockmaker climbed up the clock tower's 2,358 stairs, carrying his big tool bag. His family had cared for this clock for 5 generations. Thanks to their hard work, it had never stopped once. But now the clockmaker wondered whether he had made a mistake during the pre-New Year's maintenance round last week. His heart began ticking as loudly as the clock did when he was in working order. Though pale in the face, he got straight to work on the repairs. He used a little mallet to tap on every screw and gear. Almost immediately, he was relieved.
Oh, I figured it out. The biggest gear is broken. This makes it an easy-peasy fix. We just need to swap out this gear. It'll only take 3 minutes.
Really? The mayor started stamping his feet. 1, 2, 1, 2. But then asked, will the time be adjusted as well?
Yes, once the new gear is in, it'll be fixed in the blink of an eye.
And the bell will ring properly at midnight?
Of course.
The clockmaker was bursting with confidence, his earlier worries gone. Humming a little tune, he looked into his bag, at which point his face went pale again, and his hands began to shake.
But I don't have a spare gear.
What? Then hurry up and go get one! The mayor went pale too, and his voice quavered.
But I don't have one at the shop either. I'd have to order it.
Then hurry! Do it!
But it takes 53 days.
The mayor staggered backward. He groaned painfully before finally speaking. There is nowhere you can get one?
I heard that the town across 3 mountains to the west has a clock with the same type of gear. So if we borrowed that gear...
Borrowed?
Yes, you know, without telling anyone.
You mean we'd steal it?
Yes, but...
But what?
But we don't have a thief.
What are you talking about? I'll do it. You'll do it.
What? All right. But the time... Well, maybe if I go in a police car with the siren on, I'll make it.
You idiot! Are you really gonna steal something in a police car? Isn't there some other way?
Well... Oh, yes, there is. That service in this town everyone likes so much.
The phone in Kiki's shop sounded, interrupting her preparation for the race. When she picked it up, she did a little bow and said, "Listen, can you hear it?" The voice on the other end was shrill in her ears.
I'm not worried about listening or hearing right now. This is the mayor. I told you deliver things, but I'm wondering if you could pick things up as well.
There's no need to snap. My business is delivery, so if I can take something from here to there, I can certainly bring something from there to here,
Kiki replied in annoyance. This time the mayor spoke a bit more politely, which is true. You should never be rude with somebody that you're asking a service of, especially if they're being polite to you. Now, if that person is being rude to you back, then you go speak to a manager or a supervisor, okay? But rudeness doesn't get you anywhere, okay? Just saying. This time the mayor spoke a bit more politely.
Oh, that'll be a big help. In that case, would you come as fast as you can to the top of the clock tower?
Kiki grabbed Gigi and flew into the sky, grumbling. This was the one night she didn't want to be flying. She wanted to run on the ground with everyone else. When she looked below, masses of people were already waiting outside town hall for the clock to strike midnight. To leap straight into business, the mayor said hurriedly the moment she arrived. The biggest gear in this clock is broken. Do you think you could go to the town across 3 mountains to the west and, well, swipe one? As soon as possible, if you please?
Swipe?
Kiki's eyes grew wide. The mayor slumped his shoulders and said in a low voice, "In other words, I mean to just borrow their gear in secret for a little while so the bell can ring at midnight."
You mean steal it?
Shh, that's not a very nice way to put it. We only want to borrow it. We'll give it back after.
If that's all, then couldn't we just ring the bell? The clock is so high up no one can see it very well anyhow.
But the clockmaker replied regretfully,
"It was made so the bell won't ring unless the hands move to the 12 o'clock position, as troublesome as that is."
Then what if you just clap your hands to announce the midnight hour, Mayor?
"That's no good." He shook his head firmly. "We can't simply change after such a long-standing tradition. If we do that, who knows what could happen? People might twist their ankles or break out in hives. I'm begging, won't you please go? We're running out of time." The mayor's face blushing red and going pale in turn. Then he furrowed his eyebrows and practically sobbed as he looked at Kiki.
This guy,
thought Kiki, pursing her lips. The next moment she flew off without a word. When Kiki flew west of Koriko and over the 3 mountains in a neat row, she found a town whose lights looked like a diamond necklace laid along the valley.
Hey Kiki, are you sure this is a good idea? Gigi asked, clinging to her back. We're not going to get caught.
We don't know unless we try. Maybe if we explain the situation, they'll actually let us borrow it for a little while.
Kiki replied, mostly to convince herself. This town was tiny, so she spotted the clock tower right away. She landed on the top and crouched to avoid being spotted. Looking down, she was surprised to see a group of people waiting in the square below, just like in Koriko. On top of that, they all seemed to be watching the clock. Kiki quietly made her way down the roof and landed on the ground. The people were chatting excitedly, but while they did, they all stretched and bit their fingers of their right hand, like this. Which is a bad habit, kids. Do not crack your knuckles at a young age.
In this town, do they exercise their fingers instead of their legs?
Just then, an older man next to her smiled and said in a sing-song voice, "At midnight, don't forget." It sounded just like Koriko's New Year greeting. Listen, can you hear it?
What is everyone gathered here for?
Kiki asked. What? You don't know? At midnight, we Pinky promised to have a good New Year. That's been the tradition in this town for ages. He held up his pinky finger with a smile. Get ready, it's almost time. And oh, I see you're carrying a broom. Still working on your New Year cleaning? Better hurry, he said, playfully pushing her shoulder. Stumbling slightly, Kiki made her way through the crowd and told Gigi,
"Let's go back."
What about the gear?
Gigi looked up at her anxious.
"Never mind, let's just go," she said bluntly.
Well, we're only going to borrow it for a little while. You're not going to ask?
"No, how could I?" Kiki said sadly. "If I borrow the gear, this clock won't strike 12. Then the people of this town won't be able to make their pinky promises. What if everyone ends up fighting for the rest of the year because of me?"
But Koriko's in trouble too. What do we do?
"I'll try to think of something."
Kiki took off from the shadows and zoomed into the sky. When she returned to the clock tower in Koriko, the mayor and the clockmaker practically pounced on her.
How'd it go? Hurry, the gear!
Kiki showed her empty hands.
"I don't have it, but don't worry. I'll make it happen. You two go way down below."
But
the pair just looked at her and didn't budge.
"I'm telling you, it'll be all right. I'm a witch. I can handle it,"
Kiki declared. After herding the men toward the stairs, she spread her arms and took a deep breath.
"Okay, Gigi," she said. "Help me out. Hold on tight and push me with all your strength."
With that, she mounted her broom and flew off at tremendous speed. Kiki went to the edge of town, spun back round, and went hurtling toward the face of the clock, accelerating even more. Then, just as she was about to crash, she grabbed the big hand with both of hers and used her momentum to push it toward the top of the face. And in the blink of an eye, her one push made 1 hour and 24 minutes go by. The two hands met beautifully at 12. Bong! 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 The bell echoed throughout Koriko, and a cheer exploded from the front of the town hall. Then feet could be heard pounding the street as the race began. Meanwhile, having let go of the clock's hand, Kiki was flung all the way to the skirts of town. When she finally coaxed her broom to a stop and returned to the clock tower, she plucked down exhausted. Her hair stood on end, and the contents of her brain felt as though they had shifted to one side. When she shook her head and looked below, everyone was running in good spirits. The people whirled and eddied, and it almost seemed as though the street was moving. At the front of the pack, sticking out with his extra springy gait, was the mayor.
That was wild. I thought my tail was going to come off, said Gigi, stretching flat as a pressed flower.
"I thought my eyes and mouth would fly off and I'll end up a faceless monster."
With a sigh of relief, Kiki looked at her watch.
"Oops! It was still 5 minutes before 12.
She cracked up and bent over with laughter.
"I guess we're a tad too good at our job. But at least we weren't late, so it's fine, right?"
How sneaky of you, Gigi said.
He was looking around upset when suddenly he yelped. "Ow, it's gone! My belly band's gone!"
"It must have blown away." "Well, if that's the worst thing that happens tonight, I think that's all right, isn't it?"
No, it's not. I was taking good care of that thing. Without it, I'd go back to being a normal old black cat instead of give and take. All I'm getting from my hard work in this town is a huge loss.
Kiki consulted.
"But we delivered the new year. How many delivery services have done that?" Only we could have pulled off something that spectacular. You think any old black cat could do that? Come on, cheer up. Let's run with everyone. We'll have to cheat a little, but we'll fly to catch up to Osono and her family and run with them. We'll have to look for Tombo and Mimi, too. Hurry, let's go.
She scooped Gigi up, and they took off on her broom. After the new year started, strangers would see Kiki in the street and say, "Nice work." She assumed everyone was simply in a better mood since it was the beginning of the year, but one day Osono explained it to her. "The clock tower and the clockmaker has been going around spreading the word about you, saying things like Kiki fixed the clock and made sure it struck at 12. And it's pretty handy to have a witch who can use magic like that in our town. I'm proud too, because I've thought that all along." And that is where we will end for today. Which, while I'm here, alright. Oh, excuse me. Ah, there you are. Listen. And that is the striking of Big Ben. And Big Ben, like I said, is not a clock tower that plays like for okay. Like I said, Big Ben does not play just at any old time, which I think a lot of people would like but also hate at the same time because it's loud. It's very loud, and it's the chiming in of good opportunities and commemorations of positive events in life. So, with that being said, I will bid you all adieu. Have a lovely evening. See you later, y'all. Have a good night.